Jessie Bates coming up in the Bengals with their rookie minicamp. We'll talk about Joe Burrow's interview coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes, sir. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation? Need your top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I am your host, Ace. He is your host, Zim. We got another big show coming up. Situation. We'll talk about where the Bengals go with their star safety, potentially saying that he will not be there and possibly holding out. And while Jessie isn't on the field, Joey B, we'll talk about him meeting with the media today. And then we'll also talk about the recap from rookie minicamp, excuse me. So let's get started. We're going to start off with Jessie Bates drawing the line, and I'll kind of give my thoughts on this. Jessie Bates essentially has reportedly said that he will not be there for OTAs and much of that. Not a surprise, honestly, from my standpoint and probably from Zim's standpoint as well. If you watch the interview that he had a while ago, I don't think that it indicated anything about him missing the season or things like that. But obviously, this is kind of a chess match going on between the two sides. I think that they both want to get a deal done. I think that they both do look forward to moving forward together. But I think that this is just honestly the way that the NFL goes. When you look at guys like TJ Watt, when you look at guys in the past that have had similar situations, when they want to get that deal, it's kind of a leverage play, right? Like the Bengals went out and drafted Dax Hill. That was their leverage play. This is the response to that. I don't think that it spells the end for Jessie Bates in Cincinnati. I just think that this will be something where both sides have to come to an agreement. And I think both sides are right. Jessie deserves to get paid. He deserves to be rewarded for his services. I mean, he's pretty much been pretty close to an all-pro safety. Had a down year last season, but I think the average output that you got from Jessie Bates was always at an elite level or close to it. So obviously he deserves that. He wants to make sure that him and his family are taken care of, financial stability, security. So I can't be mad at him for that. From the Bengals side of things, obviously they just had a Super Bowl window. They've got some big contracts coming up with Joe Burrow. You talk about T. Higgins, especially with the way that things have changed in the NFL with the receiver contracts, with the quarterback contracts, with the guaranteed money. So they're looking out for each other's best interests, and hopefully they can make it work together. But Zim, what is your opinion on the matter? It doesn't seem like there's much to really say about it, but from your vantage point, there were some things that you wanted to confirm and some fires that you wanted to put out for Bengals fans that are thinking that this is going to be more than it really potentially is.
I mean, for me, I just think that fans got to understand that, business is business and football is football. Just because they haven't come to an agreement doesn't mean that he doesn't want to play in Cincinnati. Just because, it goes two ways. It's a two-way street. And then the other thing that I just read a lot, and we talked about this previously before, is that Jessie Bates does not want to be the highest paid player at his position. People that keep on saying that's false.
Facts. So Jessie Bates does not want to be the highest paid player at his position. So obviously that would make it so that the Bengals and Jessie Bates should have a good opportunity to get that done. Will it happen? We will have to see. But as of now, we're sitting here in May. I don't think that this is something to freak out over. I think that this is a negotiation tactic and this is a negotiation process. And I think that it's nothing more than that at the current moment. When that evolves to a whole other level, I think we'll address it. But for now, I don't think that it's something that we should really talk about. But coming up next, we're going to talk about Joey B, QB1 for the Bengals. Him not wearing a brace, as well as some things that he said to the media.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
All right, so next we're going to talk about Joey B. Obviously, he had a big session with the media today, but before that started, he was seen without his knee brace. He said that it's not final that he won't wear them in the games. That's to be determined. But Zim, what are your thoughts with Burrow being seen at camp without the brace?
I thought it was crazy. I hadn't thought about that. This is his first full all season. So he talked about some different things, just, like just the peace of mind to be able to get ready for this, get ready for OTAs and everything. And he didn't rule out the possibility that maybe he gets close to game day and then he decides to put it on. But man, it's so crazy. The Super Bowl wasn't that long ago. And then, like I see him and I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, we're really about to do this again, guys, right? And Joey B, I feel like me and you, I read some comments earlier just now too. A lot of people been putting out fires on Twitter and different things like that, because a lot of people in their mind, for whatever reason, I don't know why this is, but they don't think that Joe Burrow didn't kill the league his rookie year before he got hurt. And then I think about the limitations of his mobility last year. He's not even really fully, I don't know if we're getting close to the 2-year anniversary of, we're not even at that point yet. And people think that this is like they talk about Joe almost like he's maxed out. And then you start to think about like some human elements of it's like, man, I had to wear like an ankle brace one time before. I've never had to wear a knee brace, but it's always there. You feel it, you think about it. So him not having it today at practice, full stretches, all these different things. I mean, I just was like, bro, the league is in trouble. Like they just don't understand it yet.
Facts. No, I have to agree with you on that. I think the one thing that it dispels, remember there were some rumors that popped up that he had another knee injury or something during the Super Bowl. I think that this dispelled all of that. For him to be out there with that was just without a brace. I mean, go ahead, Zim.
That I was just gonna say that's just the sprain MCL. Like that's pretty common. Like in NFL, like that's why they go to the tent, take the X-ray, or if you see him go to the back, take the X-ray. Within an hour. If it ain't showing up, that's how Uzomah ended up playing in the Super Bowl. But I think Joey B, had that sprain MCL, like it sounds crazy to say it's common in the National Football League because these are 200-something, 300-something pound people hitting your knee constantly. Whatever, that happens a lot more than an average American walking, an average citizen walking around. And I didn't really, we always talk about that at the game. Like when he got hurt. Like, did you think that, at home, I always tell people this, if you were at the game, they never showed it on the Jumbotron. You got to think they never showed no replays or nothing. We never even knew he was hurt. Well, yeah. I'm not going to speak for you. I saw them looking at him on the side. But you know how it looks at home? It's crazy. I never thought. And then afterwards, he had a slight limp, and then he said, it was a sprained MCL. But I know a lot of people, like you said, were asking me that in the offseason, like, man, I heard he denied the surgery. I'm like, surgery? And then I went back and watched. I actually watched the broadcast of the Super Bowl. Yeah, it looks really bad, bro. Like at the game, it was nothing like that. And that's one crazy aspect of that game. I'll never. Another thing that was real crazy. The call on the Raiders game. I rewatched some of that today. Like I said, I just been playing a bunch of stuff. That Raiders game. When the whistle blows or whatever, the play.
Oh yeah, the one with the Tyler Boyd, one, the one that I broke my phone on. Yeah.
on that play, right? That's another one. If you were there at the stadium versus like TV, that wasn't even a thing, bro. Like when he scored, like I know that they reviewed it or something, but we were like. We thought that in the stands, we just thought that they were looking to see the Joe Burrow step out. Right. Not was the play did or anything like that. Like all that stuff that people come up with. Like I didn't even know that till like 2 days after the game.
Facts. What Joe Burrow also spoke with the media. One thing he touched on is he said basically I will not accept losing. So if you were praying and hoping for a Super Bowl slump or any kind of regression, that's been a hot topic in regards to the Bengals and media circles and in spaces. Don't expect Joe Burrow to expect that to happen. But Zim, what were some of the key takeaways from Joe Burrow's press conference today for you?
Cupcakes and crackers. 100%. Cupcakes and crackers. Like Joe didn't even remember that part of it. I think it was Paul Dehner Jr. From the Inquirer. He asked about like the cupcakes and crackers. And I would have asked him that too. which is the stupidest, quirky question that you could think of, but leave it to me to leave it the accent. But Joe said he barely remembered it. I thought that was cool. He talked about the media's perspective on, or the outside opinion of people like them possibly falling off. He was like, look, in our minds, I never from year one, I never thought I would lose. We would lose, or I never thought that we were less than or anything. And that's what I've been preaching the whole time. Like, I never felt like that. I know that the Bengals have lost for a long time, but I've also witnessed the Bengals win a lot too. And I'm one of them people, when I see something, like, I'm very optimistic on it. When something is bad, I try to correct it. But, I think Joe Burrow, it was key. Like, even he said in the presser in the playoffs, he was like, this is the standard. Like, people are like really excited about that. Like, nah, bro, we're going to the playoffs every year. And the day that Joe Burrow was drafted and the day Jamar Chase video when they got drafted, the reason why I think like a lot of reaction videos, including myself or the Bengals, they continuously they show it, because you're seeing like my raw emotion of saying, I'm saying like the world is mine, stuff like that. I'm not like rehearsed, like I really feel that way, and I've always felt like that. And anybody that feels any less than that and they're a Bengals fan, I just don't get it, because I'd be like, bro, that was like, bro, I don't even remember what happened yesterday. I'm weird like that. Like, I'm a real forward thinker, bro. Like, once I see it, I'm like, phew. So like I just been feeling like the whole day, and I thought Joe was just kind of reaffirming that to the fans and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, the media probably was thinking that, like, nah, we good to go. They asked him about the primetime games. If you think about it, I was looking at the schedule. It's really almost like 7, almost 8, because it's like 4 o'clock games. So if you really think, and in those games, those are going to be the headline games. And you might live in another city around it. You know how we never get Bengals games?
Right.
You're going to get Bengals games at 4-something o'clock, because it's going to be the feature game outside of the
right.
5.
It'll be like
games.
the biggest, like majority of the country will have that game on. Like on
if
the
it's going to be
map,
2 games,
sure.
like bro, it told me one thing: the Bengals have more games than anybody. And so somebody, I think TJ Husman's told me this. Somebody online told me this. I said, man, why do you think the Bengals people still doubt the Bengals? And a lot of people told me this, including TJ. He said this to me one time. He's like, the Bengals won't make believers out of everybody until everybody sees them in this moment, while they feel like they're being hunted in these primetime games. Because as much as people will start off their statement and say, oh, I really like Joe Burrow. Oh, I love Joe Burrow's game. 90% of those people never saw Joe Burrow's game, because you can't get a Bengals game on TV outside of NFL Red Zone. So anybody that tells you that that's not a Bengals fan, and they be like, oh, I love Joe Burrow, they never really even seen him. They're just seeing highlights. So you give him 8 games. Like, I almost, this is not a hot take. I think it works in our favor. Everybody's telling us about the games that we're about to play, and y'all got to play the Bucs, and you got to play all these teams. A lot of those players on those teams aren't built like the players that we have now. But people don't understand that. Like Jamar Chase, the Jessie Bates of the world, and all these guys, like, they relish in those big moment games like that. Like, sure, they're probably not going to win all of those games, but it's not going to be like no letdown where we're like, you're not going to see a Thursday Andy Dalton performance of what's the Thursday night, the Baltimore game, and all that other crazy. You're not going to see that. Can they lose? Sure. But they're gamers, bro. And I honestly feel like it works in our favors. I think the 1 o'clock games make it almost like an even neutral kind of crowd. The primetime things, our quarterback wants that. A lot of these quarterbacks that we're playing, they don't want that.
Yeah, for me, I think, like you said, the takeaways that I took away from it was just the confidence of Joe Burrow as a leader. I think that that's one of the things that really sticks out when it comes to him. The way that he answers questions that are about that stuff in regards to the schedule, playing on prime time. He's always downplaying it. He was like, I don't care where we play, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like we're going to show up. And that's the confidence that they already had in themselves. And I think, like you said, a lot of people that didn't watch this team last year, that was unfamiliar with it, will be very familiar with it this season, which is why, like, the people that are talking about regression, I really challenge them to say, what Bengals games did you watch last year to think that this team would really regress the way that it's been built? And if you actually watched, you would understand that the offense, and Joe talked about this, was not consistent. They didn't get off to a hot start. It took a while for them to get to that 30-point mark, and mostly that was due to the offensive line not being as good or as in shape as it really should have. And they've obviously upgraded in that area, which was their biggest weakness. And the other thing is he kind of talked about that play with Jamar Chase that everyone has talked about on social media, where he confirmed that he did want to go to that read, but unfortunately he did not have enough time. And so he, on that play, didn't kill the line or talk about the offensive line. But we all know, as viewers of the team and people that watch that Super Bowl, that the offensive line did not give him enough time on that play to make that throw.
I'm gonna let you go. Let me ask you this: did that give you pain, or did that make you feel better?
I mean, at this point, I'm like Joe with it, bro. Like, I'm over it. It happened. It is what it is. You can't live life with regrets or thinking about that, because then you'll always let it consume you. So for me, no, it wasn't really pain, because we already knew that, right? Like, I remember they asked him, or I think it was on the actual mic'd up where he said that, like, did I have Chase? So, I mean, for me, no, because if you're looking back on it, it is what it is. Like, it happened. It is what it is. Move on. Like, if the Bengals win a Super Bowl this year, next season, will we even remember that? Like, so for me, I don't really dwell on it or think that it's painful or anything like that, because you got to move forward. It's a completely new year. It's a completely new, different league. And I feel like if you dwell on it, then you'll always be thinking about it. Like, when you talk about the Falcons with the 28-3 thing, they're still talking about that now. That's what happens when you put that energy out. So for me, no, like, because I felt like I already knew that. He just kind of confirmed it. But, it is what it is. There were a lot of plays that happened in that game other than that one that I could dwell on and talk about. But obviously, if that play would have been made, that would have been a storybook ending for it. But, it is what it is.
I find myself always, I have watched the Super Bowl a couple times, but I find myself always looking at the sequence of plays before that. Like, I don't know why. Like, it's like small details. This is what happens when you lose. Like I always say, it's like a magnifying glass. But I read a lot of comments that people was like, God, why did they have to remind us? They were like mad at the reporter for asking a question that I thought it was a good question. I mean,
I love the question personally, because he said that he watched it the next day. Like, Joe Burrow is built different. Yeah. Like, a lot of players,
yes, sir.
When some of the older Bengals players talk about that Super Bowl, they talk about like it took them weeks or years, or that they still haven't watched it to this day. I'm glad that he treated it just like it was a regular game. Like, there's going to be times that you lose and stuff like that. And sometimes you have to learn how to lose, and you have to go through things like that to learn from it and move forward. So I think that was very telling of a leader. Like, nah, I watched it the next day. Like, so I thought that was very.
I was like that. I was like that too on my Instagram and stuff. I would show clips like a week or so later, or I would run plays on Twitter and stuff, and people were like, "Bro, why are you doing this to me?" And I'm like, "How? Like, I need to get this out of my mind. I just want to like look at these things and kind of analyze the play." But it's not because I'm living in agony. It's like I'm trying to figure out like what could we have done. So then when I come on this show, I'm not just saying a bunch of random stuff. Like, I'm really looking at the game and saying, like, look, oh yeah, you remember on the second down play? I thought that they shouldn't have checked down it. Like he had Tyler Boyd. Like there are things that me and you talk about. Like, I don't feel like it hurts me, but I read that a lot, and I'm just like, I don't know. That's a different perspective. So I wanted to know what you thought of that, but I get it.
But I
he's
think,
super different. He's different.
He's different, bro. He's a different animal, and I think that he wants to smoke with any of these teams, and that's what your leader should want. Like, you shouldn't shy away from any of that stuff. And Joe Burrow, I think it really stuck out to me last season when he was on Colin Cowherd, and it was right after like the Browns blew us out, right? He did not shy away from anything. He didn't hide from anything. He didn't downplay anything. And that's the type of guy that you want leading your team out there. So, I know that Joe Burrow is taking notes. We've talked about it with some special guests on the show about that man is different. Like, mentally, he is just not a person that you really want to go against. And I think his mental fortitude is something that makes him so special. So getting into it, we've got another thing to talk about. The Bengals rookie minicamp recap. For me, I'm not even going to lie, bro. Like, rookie minicamp for me, I don't feel like there's a lot that you can take from it just because these are young players. It's all of the rookies this week, which is like, essentially the training camp kind of start, or at least the first part of OTAs. That's where I feel like you can really evaluate it, right? Because they're going against actual NFL players. When I'm seeing them go against UDFAs and stuff like that, of course they're going to look good. They come from big programs and stuff like that. But you do get some insight into some guys that may be sleepers. I know that Jeff Hobson did an article on a guy that we had that was taken, I believe, a defensive tackle or something like that, said that he flashed. Seemed like Marion Hobby had some things to say about him. But honestly, like for me, the rookie mini camp, I can't really take too much out of it. What did you take out of it, if anything?
From the rookie mini camps, the biggest thing to me, one of the UDFAs that I wanted to see take a step, because one thing that I'm still looking for is like a fourth option that has return capabilities that puts the fear of God in people. So I keep on going back on old Puka stuff, seeing like, is that a possibility? Is Chris Evans a possibility in a slot this year? And the guy Kwame Lassiter is a guy that I think Hakeem Adeniji had told me about him before. He was just telling me about Kansas guys and stuff like that. But Kwame Lassiter is a real dude. I haven't really got reports from anybody that I know specifically from camp, so I'm just going off of like highlights and different things that I've seen on the internet, or I've seen like people mention it and stuff. But like just fans and stuff. So that's a guy I was watching. But more importantly, outside of that is Volson. So Volson comes in, and people that were thinking like, man, maybe this is a project year for him. Maybe this is the reports are like, this dude is big enough, he's strong enough, he's mean enough, he's nasty, he's one of those football dudes, looks good in pads, doesn't look undersized. Like Deontay Smith comes in last year, you already knew he's got to bulk up. Like Volson looks the part. I also read a lot from today with a lot of the reporters and stuff, and some of the beat that said that Carmen actually looked pretty good. So, but one thing that Volson said in the locker room, the 4th round pick, if y'all don't know, he's now converting over to left guard, which we feel is a more natural position for him anyway. But one of the things that he said is like, he's like, yeah, I think like I'm gonna thrive in it. I'm here to play guard. He made it no secret. And then today, flash forward from now Friday, now we're recording this on Tuesday, flash forward today, he immediately takes the twos. He's lining up at left guard with the twos. So now,
definitely.
So now we're starting to, these are things that are hypotheticals that we get before, but now we're seeing guys, Carmen line up left guard with the ones, confirmed. Volson line up with the left guard spot with the twos, confirmed. Now where are we going? And so I thought that was really big to have Volson come in there, look the part, look like probably a possibility that we might have a camp battle if Carmen misses a beat at all, because we've heard Tobin say he thinks Deontay Smith is better as a tackle anyway. So there are these things that were thrown around that like said, man, Deontay could probably beat out Carmen. It looks like Volson will be the next up guy. I don't even think they're going to have. And now we're on day 2, but so far this is the way it looks.
Yeah, and like you said, like so far, that's what the word is. We all know that can change based off of, training camp, preseason performance. So that is still to be determined. But as you said, that was something that stuck out today. Trey Hendrickson wasn't there. Jessie Bates wasn't there. And one thing that was interesting to me was they said that Cam Sample started in Trey Hendrickson's spot. So that was something that I was looking at as far as a camp battle to see between Sample and Khalid Kareem, who will really get the nod there. There's some other potential options there as well. Joseph Asai was on the rehab field, I believe. So he's working back. So the Bengals right now, they had a couple of guys rehabbing with T. Higgins as well as Logan Wilson rehabbing as well. So I think that it was very interesting to see some of those guys end up lining up at those spots. But like you said, and like the reporters have said, it's not permanent, but we know where it stands now. Now, obviously that can change over time. We'll have to see how that works itself out. But Zim, what are some of the expectations for you? Because for me right now, you have to be thinking about Dax Hill. If there is a potential holdout or something like that, he's lining up right now in that spot immediately. I think for me, I think that makes perfect sense why the Bengals ended up taking him, because it gives you a potential depth piece, but someone that can step in right away at free safety. And I think that is going to be good for him because it gives him the experience and the snaps with the first team. So now he's going against a guy like Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins obviously is out right now, but then he gets reps against a Jamar Chase. He gets reps against a Hayden Hurst. I didn't hear much about Hayden Hurst today. I would love to hear more, but I think that it's a good advantage for the Bengals to have Dax Hill to see those reps early and often. What are your thoughts on Dax Hill or any guys that you're particularly looking at from this rookie class that could have an impact?
Bro, it's so funny that you said that. I want everybody to know about like Hayden Hurst. I'm gonna tell you this dude's name. There's a Hayden Hurst lookalike on our team. His name, like he's like a bigger version of Hayden Hurst. Is number 60 right now. His name is Desmond Noel. So people messaged me earlier today, and remember I told you I'm off Twitter for a week. I just gotta relax off of it. But people were messaging me like, why does Hayden Hurst look so big? So it's a big burly guy that has orange hair, Desmond Noel, and it's funny as hell. But the real Hayden Hurst, they said look good and look fast. I read some reports coming out of there, so he looked fine. But you took the words out of my mouth with the Dax Hill thing. Is that it was crazy that our ops, like all the Ravens and stuff, they're like, yeah, what y'all gonna do now? And I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, that's a big deal that Jessie Bates is gone. But bruh, Dax Hill coming out, as a prospect, the measurables and stuff, like there is only one Jessie Bates, and I'm not saying that Dax Hill is going to be Jessie Bates. These are all prospects. But if you're telling me like that's the contingency plan right now, it's a really good plan. And now that we're kind of getting moving forward, the Bengals knew something that we didn't know is like how deep this really was going to go, and I think it was very important to them to make sure that they double down on that safety position because I thought it was more so for the potential of Jessie after the season. But again, just to touch on Jessie real quick, everybody knew that he didn't want to play on the tag. He came on NFL Network like a month ago and said that. So it would shock me if he didn't come to mandatories and all that stuff, because then you start getting the fines and he starts like losing money. So that's the part where I just think it's a hard play. But Dax Hill looks the part, looks good, but it's a rookie, so it is what it is. It was good to see Cam Taylor-Britt. He wasn't there at the rookie camp on Friday, so it's good to see him back. I saw him take pictures with a couple fans and stuff too. So we got a couple, even though like those are the two positions that was up for grabs that we said before the draft is left guard, corner. And now we got, and I mean, that's what it is. Another battle to look at is punter now.
Yep. So that'll be especially
Drew
with,
Chrisman.
I believe his name, Drew Chrisman. Yeah, I think that's a battle to look at. Cam Taylor-Britt versus Eli Apple. That's on the table. Zach Carter, what he can do there. Tyler Shelvin, I'm really interested in seeing what his role will be. So there's a lot of camp battles that will take place.
Zach Carter to me is the most important outside of Dax Hill is very important, but I believe Bates is going to play. Zach Carter to me is the most important draft pick. If they hit on him, I think we're fine, bro. Like they have to hit, stay healthy. He is the most important piece of this puzzle to me.
Oh, facts. That's for sure. Well, coming up, we'll talk about Deshaun Watson and the league meeting with him. But before that, we're going to go to our sponsor, Midwest Best Barbecue, with their Uno Wings commercial.
Wings, them big got you with them Uno Wings. Uno Wings, they tell me that them Uno Wings will make you do the gritty. Them Uno Wings will make you do the gritty. Uno Wings, come and get them Uno Wings. Uno Wings, who they gonna beat them Uno Wings? Uno Wings, them big got you with them Uno Wings. Uno Wings, they tell me that them Uno Wings will make you do the gritty. Them Uno Wings will make you do the gritty.
Shout out to our friends there at Midwest Best Barbecue and Creamery. Don't forget, you can also get ice cream. They have that They're open in that Loveland area, 669 Justice Court. Stop in, get you some Uno wings, get you some Grippo wings, get all the kind of wings that you can get at Midwest Best Barbecue. You could also get you that pulled pork as well as that beef brisket. So be sure to check them out. But Zim, Deshaun Watson, there's been some news on that front. He will be meeting with the NFL this week. What are your thoughts on him meeting? Is he going to be suspended? And if so, how many games, and how does that affect the Bengals?
That changes a lot, man. Like I respect Jacoby Brissett, but I just think, I mean, even from a betting standpoint, like if you're a Browns fan or a person that has heavy interest in what the Browns are going to do, I mean it changes a lot. Then I looked at their schedule, like him missing the beginning half of that schedule or any part of that schedule, it changes everything. I mean, it works in our favor. I mean, what else? You got any? It works in our favor. Like, to me, I was looking at his. Oh my God, I was looking at his organization chart earlier today to talk about like the money output. Like, bro, they are on the hook no matter what. Like $54 million per year starting like next year. Like, it's insane, bro. Like, if the NFL goes into these guaranteed contracts, which a lot of these contracts are, they're guaranteeing. Like, now the rookie ones, I don't mind as much because to me, it's almost a common knowledge. Like, you're going to pay the rookie the life of the 4-year contract because if they're good, you want them to keep them under that dollar amount. You don't want them to go get more money. And if they're bad, you can cut. Like, I don't know, the early round picks is not as much of a risk, but it is what it is. But this is the beginning of like a historical thing in NFL history. If this thing goes sour on the Browns, I mean, it's going to make waves all through the league. I mean, did you have any other thoughts on the fact that I think that maybe we don't get swept by the Browns this year?
I think that from me looking at it, I actually was looking at their schedule before, and I was reading around just to get educated on the situation. And if you really look at it and study their schedule, it seems like the NFL kind of was nice to them with those first 6 games, and it made me think that it was kind of somewhat calculated that if they were to give them a suspension, it would be right at the beginning. Most people are speculating that it would be a 6-game suspension based off of similar circumstances and suspension served similar to his situation. And so I think that it could be an initial 6-game suspension. Maybe he appeals it, gets down to either 5 or 4. I think that they do that. But I think, like you said, with Jacoby Brissett, he has a career, I believe, winning percentage of, I think it's actually 30%, but I just go off of most recent history. It's still like about 50%. So I think from their perspective, if he does get 6 games, they're expecting him to hopefully try to get 3 of those games, because they do have some hard ones. I believe one of them would be the Patriots game. Deshaun's first game back could potentially be the Chargers game or that Patriots game. So you're talking about a guy that would be off for a year, and then he would have to come in there. Now, I'm not thinking that the rust is really going to play a factor with Deshaun Watson. He'll have to knock off some. But by the time he does get back, if it is a 6 game, that second game back, the first one would be against the Ravens, right? And then the second one will be against us on prime time. So I think that drastically affects their record for sure, because if he gets that suspension and it is 5 to 6 games, they have a potential to go from a 10 or 11 win team to like 8. And I'm not sure if 8 really gets you in a crowded AFC. So I think this is definitely pivotal. And if you see it closer to the 6, I think it really jeopardizes their chances of making a bunch of noise this year. But I do think for both games that the Bengals would have to see Deshaun Watson. So I don't think that there would be any excuses. Like if the Bengals, I don't think the Bengals would have to take on Jacoby Brissett. But obviously, based on what happens, I think they talked about the actual trial getting pushed back to 2023. I think the NFL wants to get ahead of this and get past it as soon as possible. So I think they're going to hand it out. And hopefully we'll see. Hopefully we hear something in preseason where this is announced or before preseason so that we can already have that set.
Let me give you a long-term, as you were saying this, let me give you a long-term scenario. How about this? How about, let's say Jacoby Brissett balls out, right? and plays really, really good. What if Deshaun Watson comes in and he is like rusty, or say like something happens or whatever, and he, like that he doesn't fit like early on, and then Jacoby Brissett like plays really, really good, and then you still, no matter what, like Browns got to be smart enough to like go move Brissett, like build his value up and trade him. But the most Browns thing in the world, say that this dude starts balling out and then Deshaun Watson like twists his ankle or something like that one day, or like whatever. And then all the fans are like, play Brissett. And no matter what, you got to pay this dude $50 million a year. Do you see how crazy like that is to me? Like somebody was like, the Browns, like remember they said they're going 15-2 when we were in the spaces. And then they talked about his contract and stuff. And it was like, I mean, you take the risk. I'm like, bro, I think so many scenarios I could think of how that could go left on them when you have an entity that's never even put on a uniform in your building. Right. If me and you started up a business today and we said, bro, I'm going to just pay our employees for the next 5 years, like boom, on contract, and we've never even seen them in a uniform. Do you know in any industry in the world that would be the craziest?
Yeah, I definitely get that. But I think if it was Joe Burrow and he missed a year, I think we would be doing the same thing, right? Like Deshaun Watson, say what you want to say about the situation that he went through. I don't really want to get into the details of that, but this is a guy that did, the last time we saw him, throw for 4,800 yards. So I understand why they did it. But like you said, if the fit isn't there, this does have potential to kind of blow up on them if it doesn't work. And I think, honestly, the more likely thing that would happen is with their coach, Kevin Stefanski, he is going to be on the hot seat. Like if he can't get Deshaun to that 4,500 yard kind of player, like say for instance, and I said this the other night, if they go into that Chargers game, right, and they get down by 2 scores, like you can't hand the ball off after that. Like Deshaun's going to want to throw. And I think that has potential for that relationship between those two to go rocky, because Stefanski has literally never had a guy like Deshaun Watson and has always leaned on the run game. We're talking mid 50%, like passing or less. Like he doesn't really pass like that at all. It's always majority run. So I think that has potential to blow up. And you got to think about that, right? How does this situation blow up? If that happens and you get rid of Stefanski and you blow it all up and bring in another coach with another big staff, and they have you're back to kind of being the Browns a little bit. Yeah, you're back to kind of being the Browns. They're not a patient team.
You're back to his last situation, and it's just like this one-man show type of thing. But I do like your perspective, though. I do think it is more favorable once you put it like that. It is more favorable that it works in Deshaun Watson's favor than it not. But as you were saying,
they're signed up for it, like you said. Like they committed the money. So whether it works out or it's not, you're on the line for that. So but you can't even think about saying here Jacoby Brissett when you done guarantee him $230 million. Like that's your guy.
But I just think because Cleveland's fan base is so radical to me sometimes, I can see a scenario where Brissett balls out and then Deshaun Watson doesn't play good for a couple of games. They always have weird radical situations like that. And them Browns people will be like, play Brissett. I'm telling you. Like, we're going to go back to this show. If y'all watching this, y'all reference this if some weird, like if that happens. Because I can see it
can't happen because they turned on
Brissett is no scrub.
They're in the same
Let's make two things clear. Brissett is no scrub. And then the other part is anybody that's underestimating Deshaun Watson, y'all need to go back to 2019 or whatever the last like when he was an MVP candidate. And I remember you telling the AFC North panel that, and then they kind of scoffed at the deal. I mean, at the idea of Deshaun Watson coming, I was like,
for
what?
Baker Mayfield, believe it or not.
But we're years away from it, so people don't really remember unless you're like a big Clemson fan or something like that. Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback if healthy and fully running. I know that the league has changed since he last played, but let's make no mistake about it. He's a dog.
And they've also talked about Zim, like, to be fair, there's also this outside chance that they really think that they're going to put Baker Mayfield out there in the event that Deshaun Watson can't play for them. I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to play for them. I don't think there's a chance in hell, even if they ask him. I think it would be like the Texans asking Watson to play last season when they had an injury. Like, I don't see Baker Mayfield doing that. And like, that's just weird that they would say, hey, we did all of this to you. We did all of this embarrassing stuff. And hey, here's some games that you can start. Like, that doesn't make sense in any form or fashion of anything.
If they can't, they need to move that boy for a cheeseburger or whatever the heck people think that he is worth. Get a sandwich for him, but you need him out of the building, bro. That's just a ticking time bomb. Like, I don't even know why he's there now. But let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
Well, we have a show coming up for you guys on Thursday, so please be sure to look out for that. Please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at the Wincy Pod, Wincinnati Podcast there. Be sure to leave us a review. We appreciate that because that helps Bengals fans find our content. If you love our content and you do support us, we truly appreciate that. We've seen a lot of the reviews, and like we said before, we will be doing some giveaways to some of those people who do leave reviews, so we truly appreciate you guys. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. That helps, and make sure that you hit that notification bell because that helps us as well, and that helps you know whenever we go live. But you will be able to catch us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. And don't forget, we are a network. We have Jake and Mom with the Bengals Post. We also have some other shows coming, so stay tuned with that. That's another reason to leave that notification bell on.
Another new show. We're going to break this here. Another show going to start up this Sunday, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. So me and Ace might be the headline right now, but we got some really good guys that, I mean, have more knowledge than us in some areas. So, I mean, this thing is humming now. So keep on making sure you tell your friends, tell anybody you know to help us grow this channel. And I promise you, we got some good talent lined up.
Facts. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Wincinnati Podcast.
Yes, sir. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Hushmanzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Time to be a Bengals
How do
fan.
you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation? These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time? Yeah. Shock the world.